And what's going on, everybody? I am Kadarius Washington, and it is a Football Friday, which means it's time for another edition of the CW Six Pack, our weekly little pick segment where we take 6 games across the NFL slate and we pick them against the spread. And folks, I'm not going to deny it. We're in the middle of a pick slump right now. We went 2-4 again in our picks last week. The only picks that we got right last week were the Dolphins minus 2.5 against the Commanders in Madrid and the Cowboys minus 3.5 on Monday night against the pathetic Raiders. Every other game was a loss. Chargers minus 2.5, loss. Rams minus 3.5. Rams won the game, but they didn't cover. Chiefs minus 4.5, loss. Lions plus 2.5, loss. So there we go. 2-4 once again last week. Our NFL season record is 31-37-1 on the year, but nevertheless, it's a new week. Time for some new picks. Let's bust out of this slump, and here we go. So early afternoon window. Game number 1, let's do the New York Jets against the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are 13.5-point favorites at home, and we have a quarterback change for the New York Jets. And unless something crazy unfolds between now and Sunday, Tyrod Taylor will be getting the start. This is Tyrod's second start of the season. The previous came in Week 3 against Tampa Bay, and this is going to be his second career start against the team that drafted him. That, of course, was Baltimore in 2011 in the 6th round. And listen, folks, the Jets are averaging a league worst 139.9 passing yards a game this season. And of course, we can't forget about the Broncos game in overseas, where the Jets put up a whopping -10 net passing yards. Excuse me. And Lamar Jackson popped up on the injury report on Wednesday with an ankle injury, but he is expected to play. And listen, here's a key stat for this game here. So as I mentioned, the spread for this game is 13.5. The Jets, as bad as they have been this year, they have only lost 2 games by more than 14 points this year. That was Week 2 against the Bills when they lost by 20, and Week 5 against the Cowboys when they lost by 15. Excuse me a second. Yeah, it's cold, a lot of dry air in here. But anyway, Tyrod was solid in his only other start this year. That was, as I mentioned, Tampa Bay. 72% completion percentage, a $197, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. And listen, I'm going to take a bit of a risk here. I'm going to take the Jets to cover the 13.5. I'm not picking the Jets to win, but I'm going to take them to cover the 13.5 in this game. All right, game number 2. Let's do the Seattle Seahawks against the Tennessee Titans. Seattle, 13.5-point favorites on the road. And listen, this isn't a big game for the Seahawks, so theoretically, Sam Darnold shouldn't struggle in this game, right? Right? But anyway, the Seahawks are going up against a Titans team where, if we're being honest, the sooner the season ends for them, the better. The Titans have scored just 9 touchdowns, rushing and receiving on the year, 5 fewer than the next worst team, which is the New Orleans Saints. And the Titans have had multiple games, unlike the Jets, where they've lost by more than 14 points. And looking at this game in its most basic form, the Seahawks are really good and the Titans really stink. There is nothing about this Titans team that feels competitive, especially going up against a team like the Seahawks. The Seahawks defense is a machine, and I anticipate them eating Cam Ward alive. I'm going to lay the 13.5 here with the Seattle Seahawks. All right, late afternoon window. Let's do the Jacksonville Jaguars against the Arizona Cardinals. Jaguars 2.5-point favorites on the road. Jags coming off of a huge win against the Chargers, and the Cardinals coming off of a loss to the 49ers. And folks, I have a genuine question. Are the Jaguars good or not? I mean, I legitimately don't know. I mean, one week they blow out the Chargers like they did last week, and then one week they darn near slip on a banana peel against the Raiders. One week they beat the 49ers, and then one week they get destroyed by the Rams. I just don't know with this team. The Jaguars are going up against a Cardinals team that we already know is not good. They've lost 7 of their last 8 games. I genuinely don't know which version of the Jaguars we're going to get in this game. I figured this is a pick that we're probably going to have to sweat, but I like the 2.5 with Jacksonville, so I'm going to lay the points here with the Jags. All right. Game number 2, let's do the Philadelphia Eagles against the Dallas Cowboys. Philly, 3.5-point favorites on the road. Eagles coming off of a win against the Lions. Cowboys off a win against the Raiders. The Eagles, folks, have won 4 in a row and are currently the 1 seed in the NFC and on the brink of becoming the first back-to-back NFC East winner since they ripped 4 in a row from 2001 to 2004. Listen, folks, the Eagles' defense is great, but the offense has a lot of question marks. The Eagles have scored only a mere 234 points this season, and the only other team with a record over 500 who has scored fewer points is my Carolina Panthers at 207. But meanwhile, the Cowboys have the better offense, but a worse defense. The Cowboys have allowed, 293 points this season. Only the Commanders, Giants, and Bengals have allowed more. And, of course, they've had issues stopping the run. Surprise, surprise. And, by the way, Jalen Carter should play in this game unless he wants to be stupid again and spit on Dak Prescott like he did on opening night. And listen, I do not want to say the Cowboys have momentum because beating up the Raiders is not momentum, folks. But this is a division rivalry game. They are tricky games to pick. 3.5 feels like a lot of points to me. So I'm going to pick Dallas to cover the 3.5. All right, Sunday nighter. We've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going up against the Los Angeles Rams. Rams 6.5-point favorites at home. Buccaneers coming off of a loss to the Bills. Rams coming off of a win against the Seahawks. A battle of first-place teams and a matchup we could very well see again in January. And, folks, the Rams have been on an absolute tear. They've won 5 in a row and now are in sole possession of first place in the NFC West. Meanwhile, the Buccaneers have dropped 3 of their last 4 and are holding on to the NFC South lead by only a half a game. Tampa Bay has been battling injuries all season, and it really hasn't gotten much better. They're banged up along both lines and at the wide receiver position, and no Bucky Irving again this week. And the Rams, they're a great team. Arguably the most complete team in the NFL right now. So I'm going to lay the 6.5 here and go with the Rams. All right, Monday nighter. We've got my Carolina Panthers, your Carolina Panthers, our Carolina Panthers going up against the San Francisco 49ers. San Fran 6.5-point favorites at home. The Panthers coming off of a win against the Falcons and the 49ers coming off of a win against the Cardinals. This could really be one of the best games of the week. This is going to be a battle of 2 of the most electric running backs in football right now. Rico Dowdle of the Panthers and Christian McCaffrey of the 49ers, formerly of the Panthers. And Brock Purdy made his return last week against the Cardinals and threw for 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, and a passer rating of 133.5. Meanwhile, the Panthers are back over 500. We're only a half game out of the NFC South lead, and we're finally getting some dang respect. Bryce Young coming off of the game of his life last week against the Falcons, a franchise record 448 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, and a passer rating of 123.2. But here's the thing, folks. This is not the Falcons. This is the 49ers. A true measuring stick game for the Panthers to see whether or not this team is legitimate. And listen, folks, the last couple of times we've played against the Niners, it hasn't gone very well. In 2019, we lost to the Niners 51-13, and then in 2022, we lost 37-15. But here's where it gets tricky from my perspective. And you can call me a bad Panthers fan if you want to. But I picked 2 Panthers games this year, and I picked against them both times. Week 3 against the Falcons, Week 9 against the Packers. And guess what happened? The Panthers won both of those games. And here's my philosophy, folks. If I pick against the Panthers, they'll probably win. But if I pick the Panthers, they'll probably lose. So this is going to make this probably the single hardest pick that I've made in the young history of the CW 6-pack. But I'm taking the Panthers to cover. I got to take them. I'm taking the Panthers to cover the 6.5. And Panthers, just don't embarrass us, all right? Please don't be an embarrassment. We do not get many national primetime standalone games, and depending on what we do this week, we might very well get another one this season. So please, please, please do not be an embarrassment. This is the first time I'm actually picking your behinds this week. So please don't go out there and toss in a clunker. All right, our picks this week, a balance of favorites and dogs this week. We took the Jets plus 13.5, Seahawks minus 13.5, Jags plus 2.5, Cowboys plus 3.5, Rams minus 6.5, and my Carolina Panthers plus 6.5. And look, next week, folks, we're going to be doing our picks a little early because it's Thanksgiving week, and we're going to be picking all of the Thanksgiving games, the Black Friday game, and, of course, our regular 6 games on Sunday. I'll push that out on either Tuesday or Wednesday next week, but be on the lookout for that. Like, comment, subscribe, click that notification bell to be notified of when I post again, and also follow me on Twitter and on Bluesky at CW Talk Sports. That's CWTALKS Sports. Enjoy the football, everyone. Panthers, please don't be an embarrassment on Monday night, and I will see y'all the next time. Peace.